to my talk series English with Purpose. I'm Vera, or the Mindful English Language Coach, and I empower professionals to find their unique and confident voice in English. The idea of English with Purpose talks was with me for a long time, and I finally am here. The goal is to ignite conversation around the fact that English can be a connector or a tool that can help us express our views and our thoughts and our ideas with the rest of the world. And part of the goal for this talk is that I want to release the pressure of perfection for professionals where English isn't the native language. Ready for an interesting conversation? Follow me. Hello, everyone. Today I have a really nice guest with me, and we are going to be focusing on confidence, getting out of our comfort zone with English. And Patricia is someone that I admire because she has amazing energy. You have amazing energy. Your mission is really, really nice, aligned with your core values. And I think you would be the perfect person to talk to others what it feels like to be in front of an audience or share your message in a language that is not your own, like English, because I know you are a multilingual person, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So before we dive in, what's your background? What would you like to share with us?
First of all, thank you so much for having me, Vera. I'm really glad we can talk about something that is so close to my heart. So about my background, yes, first language, native language is Polish. I was born in Warsaw, but I grew up here and had to learn Swiss German, I would say, as a first foreign language in Switzerland, and then High German, French, and English and Italian. And I even started to learn Japanese once, at the college.
Once?
Yes.
What happened to the Japanese?
Well, I learned the smallest alphabet, which is kanji.
Yeah.
And then, the matura came. I had to learn for the matura, the exams. So if you don't invest the time, and if you haven't during that phase, I didn't have the chance to travel to Japan. And if you don't hear it every day, I think it's pretty hard to learn a language. Yeah. I remember as a teenager, whenever I was learning a language, I went to France, I went to Italy, I went to England to improve what I have learned in theory at school.
Yeah. Japan, maybe now?
Who knows? Maybe in 2024.
Let me inspire you, because I started learning Korean 2 months ago. Really in love with the culture, the language, but I really totally understand what it means not to be immersed in the language, not to be able to listen. This is something that it's never too late to start a language, and it opens doors. It's like a bridge to the world. And so I know what it means when you say so many languages you can speak. Wow.
I fully agree. So this is how I ended up in media sciences, studying here at the University of Zurich, and started my career in corporate communications and investor relations in a tech industry for Swiss listed companies. So you can imagine, I was usually the only woman in the boardroom. Yes, and a couple of years ago, I decided to leave the corporate world to expand my knowledge for the favor of other innovation projects, not only from my internal support, but also externally, to support others in their future thinking, in their future doing, in co-creation and collaboration.
These are fantastic words, co-creation and collaboration. Yes.
So this is how I ended up at the moment. But
this is actually how I found you, because you talk about collaboration and co-creation, and I follow your work, and it's very inspiring. And also coming from a woman, right? As you said, it makes difference to me. So I know you recently gave a TED talk. What was the topic about, and why did you do it?
Good question. The topic was about how to bring community-led culture to life. Actually, again, how can we co-create? How can we collaborate better, focus-oriented, like goal-oriented, and not selfish? So since I would describe myself also as a community builder, community is something that is really important for me, because I truly believe that we can achieve so much more if we collaborate and connect better. And this is how I see, where I see the strength in a community.
Yeah.
The second question was why?
Why did you do it? Because I know many people think it's going to be greater visibility for me, for my brand, because probably they represent their brand, they are entrepreneurs, or my company, you know, this is a great promotion deal for me. But why did you do it?
Vera, I would, honestly, I would love to tell you a fantastic success story, like describing, yes, you know, it was on my vision board, so it became true. No, that was not the case. I'm sorry.
No, true. It's the truth. Yes.
So, one day I got a message via LinkedIn asking if I would be interested to share the story of my community, which is Wikoko.
Yeah, Wikoko. Yes.
And yeah, I have to admit, quite often people don't know anything about Patricia. Patricia who? Who's that?
Right.
But when you drop the name Wikoko, Wikoko, of course, I know Wikoko. So much about branding, right? Branding is so important.
Yeah.
And the initial idea was really about sharing the mission and vision of Wikoko. But as you can imagine, during the elaboration of your storytelling, of your speech, of your TED Talk, it can, well, literally, it's changing every day. So it's something that you cannot stop. And the more I worked on that, the more I realized, it has so much, Wikoko has so much to do about my history, where I come from, the first years here in Switzerland, my intention to assimilate, to integrate into the new culture, into this new country, to feel a sense of belonging as a foreigner.
As an expat, right? Yes.
So without my history, Wikoko wouldn't exist. Definitely not. So this is why my TED Talk at the end became a mixture of my own personal history together with the power of a community like, for example, Wikoko. But there are many other communities which are amazing and very powerful.
Yeah, the power of a community is amazing. But if you don't know the story behind the community, it doesn't maybe have the impact as if when you would, because now Patricia and Wikoko is like one thing, and people who were there and listened to you realize, oh, that's her story, but that connects to Wikoko, because social media to me is like but to be famous maybe for a few seconds, but if you give a speech like that, people, you know, take you with them. It's so important. So what were your takeaways when you really did it? You left, you know, the TED Talk scene, went backstage?
Well, there were many takeaways, as you can imagine. But let's focus on the most important one.
Yeah.
I think what I just said, do really want to emphasize is it's about self-discovery. Writing your first TED Talk, no matter if it's about your expertise or your research or your own story, it's a journey. It's truly a journey. Because you have milestones, you have support from the TEDx team, you have support from your friends, from your family, and maybe a coach or a trainer. You get so much input, and also the rehearsal that you are doing, you get input and feedback from the jury members.
Yes.
And based on that, you make lots of progresses during the entire journey.
Has this changed the perception about yourself after doing the TED Talk?
I would say so. Yeah.
Do you feel
in my
confident?
In my case, Vera, I would say I learned a lot about myself. Yes.
What would you share, like 1 or 2 things that you learned about yourself with us?
I could not imagine, but I had trouble to ask for help. Yeah. Now that I'm easily sharing it with you, it sounds
you had to go through this.
Yes.
Right.
Because I was used to do everything by myself. I can do that. I can learn it, and I can get better on it without any help, without any support.
Guilty of that too, yes.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club.
We want to be independent. We are who we are, and we know we can do it, but sometimes we can't.
Exactly. So this was a true game changer for me. I asked for help. Yeah, you see, it was not easy.
Yeah.
But at the end, I mean, from my brain told me, I mean, when you ask for help, you can achieve so much more.
Yes.
With your support system.
I would just want to highlight that for me, realizing when I was stuck asking for help, it was not a sign of weakness. It was more of, like, my clients tell me, I'm too shy to ask. But as soon as you really ask, the burden of, I don't know, can you help? Can you support? Is lifted. And then you're more free to, evolve.
Absolutely. I can underline this.
So my next question, it's a question that I always ask people because I'm curious. What is confidence to you?
Also a challenging question. But let's say being confident is mostly being yourself. Being yourself, no matter what the circumstances or what the environment is.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you end up in difficult, challenging situations.
Yes.
And when you are able to occupy the space around you, no matter what the circumstances are, in environments that weren't actually made for you, your confidence is a kind of activism. That's how I see it and how I experienced it.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes absolute sense. Yes.
Just to explain you why I had this eye opener, because during my corporate career, I was not myself in such environments.
Yeah.
I was not confident enough to be myself.
Yeah.
I wanted to fit in.
To blend in, maybe.
Yes. In a 100% male dominant industry.
Right.
And I had to experience it to learn that it doesn't need to be like that, and that I can be myself. And this is why this means confidence for me. So
this is a real pain for so many people. And adding also the element of language, like I'm working in the corporate world, As a man or as a woman, I need to fit in, I need to perform, and on top of that, I need to, be good at English. For us now, it feels like effortless to have this conversation, but for many other people watching us, listening us, the feedback is, yeah, but how do you do it? It feels so difficult, either to be on camera and speak another language, or me going to make a presentation in a room full of I don't know how many people. And confidence is exactly that. Be yourself. Yes, regardless the language, regardless the environment. But
exactly.
we have to experience it.
Exactly.
To realize it.
And as soon as you have this awareness, you find yourself again and again in similar situations. And then you can reflect on that. Okay, how do I want to react to this environment? Yeah. Do I want to play the game like the others do? Or do I choose to stay myself and true to myself, speaking up and sharing my honest opinion, for example?
Yeah, I can understand very well, but we also have this cultural element, depending on which country you are, what the culture is, and so on and so on. So yeah, it is very important to be able to be yourself no matter what. My next question is, when you find yourself lacking confidence because of a certain situation, how do you get your confidence back? How do you realign? What do you do? Practically, maybe, or what do you think?
Well, since I believe in the power of many, in the power of a collective, right? Depending on the topic, I try to reconnect either with my family or my close friends, or with my community.
Yeah.
Because I know from there I get an honest feedback, and with a good intention, because these are the people who believe in me.
Yeah, absolutely. How does it feel when you think and express yourself in English? Because it's not your first language. I'm curious.
Correct. It was actually really, I think, the fourth language.
The fourth? You mean you mentioned it last, right?
Yes, it was one of the last languages. Yes, indeed. Actually, it never feels the same. It's always different. I think the first time that we met, for example, I was a bit intimidated. Talking with Vera, my English needs to be perfect without any mistakes. But meanwhile, and not only because of you, but in general, yes, English is not my mother tongue. And yes, I do make mistakes. But everyone is allowed to give me feedback and correct my English. I see this powerful language as a tool to share my message and to connect with others. And if they don't speak Polish or German, well, what's my alternative? It is English. Right. And if they don't understand what I just said, okay, I can try to explain it in.
They can ask you simply, and you explain, what do you mean, right? And the intimidation, what you mentioned, you're talking to me, you have to have perfect English. It happens to everybody who is not native. But when I say to people, I'm native, but I do make mistakes, they ask me like, why or how? Because we all make mistakes. This myth of perfection, it's like a pill that doesn't go down my throat. I really want to talk about it and highlight it. Instead of striving for perfection, let's be excellent and ask for help and support, depending on your community, or you have a coach or someone, a mentor. I think this is the big mindset blockage so many people have. And now that I'm learning Korean, for example, I catch myself thinking the same. And then I realize, relax, you are just learning. And if you don't make mistakes, you won't grow.
Absolutely.
It's the mindset, I think.
So true, Vera.
So true.
Yeah. So,
right.
But this awareness that you need to work first on your mindset and not on your vocabulary. Yeah. Sometimes, the priorities are different in reality.
In reality, that's why a community or talking to people, engaging with people that think in that way is more beneficial than beating ourselves up. Oh, I have to, study 7 hours a day for my German or for whatever language because I need to be perfect. That's, to me, I don't want to call it wrong, but it's not beneficial.
Absolutely. Yes.
The last thing I want to ask you is if you could give 1 or 2 tips to someone who would love to do what you did with a TED Talk, tell a story, but they hesitate, they feel shy for all the reasons we mentioned, what would you say to them?
Is this person a native English speaker?
No, I'm talking more about people who are not native English speakers.
Okay, like me.
Not like me.
Okay, in that case, I would recommend to draft your talk first in your native language, which is the closest to your heart, to your soul, that you can really make sure that you share every single detail about everything, no matter if it's about your expertise or your life. Write it down or do a brainstorming, like everything what fits to your work style. And while you are further developing your talk, try to get some support from a native English speaker. Why is that? Because you can still translate your talk by yourself.
Yeah, the text, easy.
The text is easy. You have so many tools nowadays.
Absolutely. AI, I mean.
Exactly. And you can, with the input of a native speaker, you can make sure, okay, how is this perceived by an English-speaking audience? Although we know that mostly the audience is multicultural and not all of them are English native speaker. But still, make sure to mirror it with an English native speaker and double check it again if this vocabulary fits if it matches to your vocabulary.
Yes.
Because I asked for the support in English.
Yes.
And some of the words were really, I couldn't, internalize them. Can I say
that?
There
is no vibration between you and these words.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
No point to use them.
So every time I wanted to say the sentence, I got stuck. Really.
Yeah, because it was not you.
Again, yes. And again, you can retranslate it in your English, let's say.
Yes.
But then you can find a perfect mix of great terminology or sentences which are perfect in English, but also mixed with your own understanding of these words that you are using. And I have to admit, we had a lot of conversations. It was actually, I would like to say her name. It was Valentina Velandia, who from the Wikoko community, who supported me because her English is native English. And we had lots of interactions and conversations about our choices of words.
Yes. Yeah, this is the calibration of a message.
Exactly.
It is so important. It is so important. And what would you say as a tip when it comes to being afraid of stepping on the stage, really being the center of attention with your story?
Hard to describe, Vera. Very hard to describe. I felt like a magnet.
Mm. Mm.
It was different than during the general rehearsal when the space was empty,
Yeah.
and then stepping on the stage and having all these people in front of you. I had the feeling they are coming closer and closer to me.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But it's hard to describe.
It is hard to describe. So many people do not dare, just because of the fact, I'm going to be on stage, or I'm going to stand up and, speak. Everybody's watching me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious, because you experienced it, what would you say to the next person that wants to, give a talk like this on stage?
Oh, there are so many things, but yes, don't underestimate the resources that are needed from you.
Yeah.
Your time, your energy, your brain. It's a constant up and down. Mm-hmm. I experienced it like another venture of mine.
Yes.
Where I had to invest, where I truly had to invest.
Yeah.
And be careful about the feedback that you get. Don't
way to be careful.
Sorry?
In what way to be careful?
Listen to the feedback and then decide, take a conscious decision what the impact or what the amount of space is that you want to give to that feedback into your TED Talk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because if it doesn't resonate to you and what you stand for, forget it.
Absolutely.
Sorry about that. But as many people we have on earth, as many opinions we have. Exactly. This is natural.
Yeah. For me, a practical thing, because I used to give not TED Talks, but a lot of presentations as a student in front of a huge audience, and later on teach at a Swiss institution. I made sure I arrived earlier and walked up and down the room. I made, friends with the room, and not only the day of my lesson or the presentation, but the day before and the day before, like 3 days before, I was just making friends with the room.
Yeah.
And it felt good. And for me, if I step into a room that I've never been before, it is hard because I need to familiarize with the space. Yeah.
Yes, we had that too the day before, and I think it was an important element of the preparation.
Yeah, you need to know what's in front of you, what's behind you, what's underneath you, everything, and the feeling.
Yes.
Amazing. Well done for doing this, and I really hope if you see or listen to our talk with Patricia, that either you reach out if you are thinking of stepping up with your presentation skills or your English skills, or try the tips that she offered, because I find the tips are very good, really very good. You really tried, you really invested.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Glad I was able to share it with you.
Yeah, sharing is important. Yes. That's exactly
sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring, and sharing knowledge, it grows more. No one can steal your knowledge or do things the way you do it. So for me, I'm open to share. It's perfect. So thank you so much. And maybe to another interesting conversation in the future.
Absolutely. Looking forward.
Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you, Vera.